Okay. Hello and welcome. As part of the series on building a career in peace building, we will be discussing some frequently asked questions about preparing a CV and cover letter. I am Madhumita Varma, and I'm currently pursuing a Master in International Affairs at the Graduate Institute of International and Development Studies. I am pleased to say that today we are joined by Aline Demetrio Cruz. Aline is the Senior Career Services Advisor at the Graduate Institute. She has 10 years of experience in counseling and placing international students in the public and third sectors of international Geneva, including international organizations, non-governmental organizations, UN agencies, and diplomatic missions. As a certified professional coach, she also has 5 years of experience in career transition and professional development. A warm welcome to you, Aline, and thank you for joining us. Today, I will ask you a few questions about preparing a CV and cover letter. Aline has also taken the time to present a few samples of CVs to illustrate the do's and don'ts. Thank you, Aline. So let's get to the questions. Firstly, do I need a photo?
Thank you, Madhumita. Hello and welcome to everyone. Okay, so about the photo, there's a lot of debate about this. When you are applying in international Geneva, you do not have to put a photo on your CV. The reason is because, as you are probably aware, we don't want the recruiter to discriminate based on the photo that you would have on a CV, and this is a reason why in many countries the photo is not mandatory anymore. It is common practice in Switzerland to have a photo, so people working in international Geneva will actually will not be surprised if they see a photo on your CV. But do know that if you do not want to put a photo, well, you don't have to.
All right, okay, that's good to know. Let's move to the second question, which is, do I have to include a profile section?
Okay, so again, it's not mandatory. I really encourage you to write a profile section only if you have a good one. What is a good one? A good profile section is when it is totally tailored to the job description. So whatever you're going to write in that section needs to be relevant to the job description. It's not a section where you will say how great you are, look at all my skills and soft skills and experiences. No, it's rather showing that you are the best match for this job. So among all your skills, all your expertise, experiences, whatever that makes you a great candidate, you will only pick the information that is asked in the job description, because it allows the recruiter to pre-select you in 3 seconds. So that's very efficient. If you do a really good profile section, and please don't make it long, but I will show you in the next slides at the end of the presentation. If you do not make it long, it's a very powerful tool to be pre-selected in 3 seconds if the recruiter doesn't have a lot of time.
Okay, that's very good to know. Yes, because a recruiter only spends a few seconds on the CV anyway, right?
So, exactly. We say between 15 and 20 seconds.
All right.
So this is why you need to be really efficient, and that's the way to be efficient.
All right, wonderful. So the next question is, how many pages should a CV have?
Very good question. In Geneva International, we mostly see 2 pages, especially when you start to have a little of experience. Most of our students at the Graduate Institute, at least, are able to provide a 2-page CV. If you don't have enough information for 2 pages, please leave it to 1 page.
Right.
When you have a lot of experience, because you already, I mean, you graduated a long time ago and you worked for several years, then it is also possible to have 3 pages. Because we are in Switzerland, and in Switzerland it's allowed. And again, even though the recruiters from the Geneva International, they don't follow the Swiss practices in terms of CV, they still contemplate, you know, to have sometimes candidates that will provide Swiss-like CVs.
Okay.
2 pages is really good.
All right. So that's the ideal then. Yeah. Okay.
Well, if I may, I'm sorry, if you are contemplating in a career in academics, it is expected that to have much more pages, because you have all the publications, the teaching experience. So when you're in the academic field, you can allow yourself to have more than 2 pages.
All right. Thanks for mentioning that as well, Aline.
You're welcome.
So the next question is, are grades and courses to be mentioned in the CV?
As far as grades are concerned, even though of course it's great to have great grades, if the job description is not asking for those grades, you don't have to put them. In terms of your courses, if you are a student right now or a recent graduate, and when you look at the job description, they ask you to have a specific knowledge in a specific field, and you have actually studied that field, I would encourage you to write down that course. If it gives you more, how can I say, credentials, I would say, then yes, you can write down your courses. Not all of them, obviously. Yeah. Again, you need to write only the relevant one, the relevant ones to the job description.
I see. So even if a recruiter actually requests grades, it would be through a transcript and not on the CV, right?
No. You could leave them on the CV if they ask it. Yeah, of course, if you can provide your transcript, it's even better.
Yeah.
You really adapt to the to whatever they're asking in the job description.
All right. Okay. Okay. So the next question: should volunteering experiences be mentioned in a CV?
Yes. 3 times yes. Especially in international Geneva. When I say Geneva, for the listeners, you need to understand what we're talking about. Of course, the UN system, but we're also talking about the other IGOs. We're talking about NGOs, the permanent missions. So let's say it's a non-for-profit sector. It's not the private sector. It is what we call the public and third sector at the Graduate Institute. So if you do have volunteer experience, it will show that you have the right mindset, if I could say. I can put it this way, you know, like you're on the same page, you have the same values, you're sharing the same values. And so it is really, really recommended that you write down those experiences and you elaborate on them, because too many times I see, at least students, or even when I used to coach professionals, they will say like, volunteered for Amnesty International. So yeah, it tells us that you did, I mean, you did some volunteering for Amnesty International, but there's so many things that you could have been doing there. And so we don't know what you did. And so I highly recommend you to write a couple of bullet points to express exactly what you did, because that can give you transferable skills for the job as well, you know, or they will show maybe some soft skills as well. So this is why this is very important when you are applying in La Genève Internationale to write down your volunteer experience.
Yeah, but even here you would tailor those experiences towards the job description, right? Or?
It's a good question. I think either way is good, because again, the idea behind this is that it shows that you have the right mindset, you know, like you share the same values as this organization you're sending your application to.
Okay. All right. So the next question, which is, should internships be mentioned under work experience?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
It is work experience.
Yeah.
Then I have students who say, yeah, but that wasn't paid. And I say, so what? You did work.
Yeah.
And you did relevant work. So why it shouldn't be under work experience? So yes, definitely under work experience.
So that then sort of raises the question of, for a lot of students, the only experience that we might have ever gained is volunteer experience. And so again, where would you place volunteer experience? Would it also be under work experience, or?
Well, if that's the only type of experience that you have, you could leave it under work experience as well. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to
because
know.
it's not because it's not paid that it has no value.
Yeah.
We have the opposite situation with certain jobs that are paid, but maybe you only did photocopying.
Right.
It doesn't have value. I mean, you know,
Right.
compared to some volunteering experience.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Shall we move to the next question?
Sure.
Yeah. How can I include the Capstone Project in my CV?
Okay. So the Capstone Project is really something that is specific to the Graduate Institute. For the listeners who don't know what we mean by that, it's actually a consulting project. Maybe you can talk better about it, Madhumita. Maybe you can explain to the listeners what it is.
Yeah, basically it's a student consulting project where the Graduate Institute pairs us with an organization from International Geneva. And basically we work on it as a team for about 9 months or so. And yeah, essentially it's a consulting project.
Yeah. So because it's only centric to the Graduate Institute, I would not call it this way, capstone. Because not everybody is supposed to know that we use this expression. Maybe I think there are some other universities using that expression, but in case you have a recruiter that is not familiar with that expression, I would highly recommend you to write down consulting project. And I also encourage you to write it down under work experience. It gives you more credibility. It gives more power to it than if you write it down under your academic section.
I mean, would it differ if you were, say, applying for an academic position? Then you would probably write it as an applied research project or so.
Yeah, I guess it would all depends on where you did. I mean, with who? Or for who? Sorry, you did this project, this consulting project.
Yeah.
What you need to understand in this new job market, and when I say new, it's not because of the global health crisis we have right now. No, I mean, in the last decade, we have seen that the most common practice and the best efficient way, I would say, I don't know if I'm being understood, but if you want to be efficient with your application, you need to tailor to the job description.
Yeah.
And so this gives you freedom. actually,
Yeah. Yeah.
to write down your CV the way you want, as long as this is relevant to the job description. So indeed, if you have done a consulting project for a university and you want to work in the academic world, yes, so that could make sense to write it down under academic, you know?
Yeah. All right. Okay, that sounds good. So next question. Is it all right to send the same CV and only tailor the cover letter for multiple applications?
So it's exactly what I was referring to
Exactly.
a few minutes ago.
Mm.
You need not only to tailor the cover letter, but also the CV. Most of recruiters look at the CV first. So they will never read your cover letter if the CV is not appealing to them. You know, if they don't see that you're capable of doing what they're asking for. So yes, it's more work, but I highly, highly encourage you to tailor your CV first, because your success rate will be much higher.
So when you say tailoring your CV, it's also about tailoring the descriptions of the jobs you've done in the past, right? So because in each work position, you would have done multiple things and you would only be noting down the most important, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. So it's basically, if you, let's say you have 4 bullet points under each experience, it's really reordering them, the bullet points, in order of importance for the job description.
Yeah.
For the job you're applying to, okay? Not for the job that you did.
Yeah.
Okay? So that the recruiter sees right away what he's looking for.
Yeah.
So this is why it's important to reorder them in order of importance each time. Also, it's important to change the keywords, because, you know, depending on where you're going to apply, they have their own vocabulary.
Right.
So do not be afraid to use their own vocabulary. Okay, it will just show that you speak the right language. So it's actually cool. So this is how you can tailor as well. Also, do not spare too much details on things that have nothing to do with the job description. You know, when you do have a lot of experience or you did a lot of tasks, you can really be reassured that you can erase some bullet points, you know, some information if it has nothing to do with what they're asking for.
All right. So in that case, would you say there's a minimum or maximum number of bullet points under each job description or within the CV?
Well, it's hard to say, because we have all had different kind of experiences, and longer ones and smaller ones, and some jobs that are more diverse than others. So it's hard to give you a fixed number. If it's a long experience, we will expect more bullet points,
right,
than, you know, a shorter experience. But then at the end of the day, it really depends on what you did for that organization. So it's hard to give you a straight answer.
No, that's fair enough. All right. So shall we move to the next question?
Sure.
No. How many paragraphs and pages should the cover letter contain?
Okay, your goal is still to facilitate the recruiter's life, I would say. And one way of doing that is if you stick to 2 pages for the CV and 1 page for the cover letter. Again, unless if you are applying to an academic role, then it will be expected that the cover letter could be 2 pages, for example. It's okay. It's actually okay. And paragraphs, if it's only 1 page, well, 3 or 4 is actually a good number. 5 max.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. And I think we are going to the last question now. Is it better to add my cover letter to the text of the email than to attach it as a file?
Very good question too. I won't lie to you. There are recruiters that think that it's actually nice to have it in the body of the email. However, the majority prefer that you attach it to a file as a file because they will print or save the CV. So it will be much harder to save the body of the email to the CV. You know what I mean?
Right.
So again, that will facilitate the recruiter's life if you make the cover letter into a distinct document.
All right. Okay. So I think that was the last question. Thank you for answering these questions, Aline.
You're welcome.
And you had prepared some samples of CVs for us. Shall we move on to
Sure.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, so basically many students ask us about the profile section. How should they present it, or what and how what they should say. So I extracted a slide from our workshop on CV and cover letter. So we have two examples. As you can see, the first one is for students mainly. So let's say a economics major seeking for full-time opportunities in the field of, that could be one. That's a very short one, but can be efficient if you make sure that it is indeed relevant to the job that you're applying to. And we have a second possibility where it's my colleague Alizé who wrote it for herself. And she wrote, a highly motivated professional committed to make the world a more equal place by reducing poverty and promoting social entrepreneurship, experience in impact investing, including fieldwork in Latin America, management consultancy, and partnership building. Excellent interpersonal and communication skills with ability to work independently and adapt to multicultural environments. So this would be an excellent profile if she actually took the essence of the job description, which is actually what I encourage you to do, is really like to extract the essence of the job description and you make it your profile. So I'm not saying you should lie, of course not. You pick from the job description what you have, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
So that was an example of a profile section in case you were wondering.
So then you would say in the job description, you should basically highlight some of the keywords.
Yes.
Key skills and qualities they're looking for, and then focus on that in the profile section.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Because, you know, if you, let's do it the other way around. If you write a profile that has nothing to do with the job description.
Yeah.
Again, I always give this example. I was in charge of pre-selecting students at some point for a job. And the job description was specifically saying that they were looking for international humanitarian law students or background, something like that.
Okay.
And it was really specific. And I had a student of mine who wrote, first thing that she wrote was master in development student, specialize in trade and development, no, trade and finance.
Okay.
And then she just said who she were. But there was no way we could have guessed that she applied for that job, you know? Right. And so it really annoyed me. Like, you know, I was like, but did she, I mean, was she mistaken? I mean, did she send us her application by mistake? You know? So this is the effect that it will have on the recruiter if you do not adapt the profile to the job description.
Okay.
And this is why if they have hundreds of applications, they can really put aside your application and to the trash, you know, unfortunately, if it's not tailored.
Okay, so this is quite crucial as it has to capture the attention of the recruiter within a few
Exactly.
seconds. Yeah, okay.
Mm.
All right. Shall we move to the
Sure.
next? Okay.
So sometimes students also ask us, okay, how should I present my education? Well, can be this way. So you have two examples. As you could see, the first example is really neat, consistent formatting. Yes, feel free to write your thesis paper if it makes sense, again, for the job you're applying to. And example 2, I don't know if you can see properly. It's a student in a master in economics. Here I just we just commented that maybe it would have been a good idea to write the relevant coursework, and the grade, as I said earlier, it was not mandatory, even though those are great grades.
Right. Okay. All right. Shall we move to the next section?
Yes. Again, this is a practical case, is to show you that what I could see as a CV. So you could see there are 4 bullet points. So that's really great. This pattern is really it's really efficient. You know, if you can make it to 4. I know you asked me earlier, but see, it looks good. It looks
Okay.
good with 3 or 4. It's consistent. We need consistency on a CV if we want it to be legible, you know. What makes a CV legible is if you have a different style per item. What do we mean by item? Like the name of the company or the organization, always the same way. So here, this is the case. You see the organization is always in capital letters. You see that?
Yeah.
Then you see the location is always in italic.
Yeah.
The date is always, well, normal writing, I would say. And then the position is always in bold. And so that makes your CV really easy to read. And I really, really encourage you to make an effort, I would say, to do this. Because it makes us read your CV really fast.
Yeah.
And we get instantly where you're coming from, what you did. We have too many students or even professionals who do not write bullet points as well, who write paragraphs on a personal mode. I did this because of that. No, we prefer bullet points with action verbs, like here. Short description is good. I mean, you keep your details for the interview. And then here, what we wanted to show you as well is that it would be a little annoying if we notice that, you know, the format is not consistent with the bullet points. We show you the discrepancy here where the bullet points are not aligned. See?
Yeah.
So this will not make you be rejected, but we'll see it, you know, so it's just catching our attention where it shouldn't. We want to be focused on the content. Also, be careful with the typos. Always make anti-chronological order. Here it's in chronological order. It shouldn't be. Okay.
All right.
I don't know if you had any question on this slide.
No, that's about it. So yeah, reverse chronology. Yeah, okay. All right. Shall we move to the? Yeah.
So again, when we prepared this interview, you mentioned that it would be good if we could share some examples of CVs.
Yeah.
And so this is why we wanted to share this one, because we thought this CV was actually a good one. Be reassured, there's no one model of CV. There are multiple possibilities in terms of formatting your CV. But it's just to give you an example that what we call a good CV in terms of formatting. Okay.
Mm.
And why is it a good one? Because it's balanced. The format is consistent. It makes it really easy to read. I don't know if you're noticing yourself, Madhumita, when you read this CV, do you find it easy to read,
Yeah,
or it's just me?
no, it's categorized very well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's a real CV. Huh? It's one of our students that allowed us to use it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we wanted to share it with you guys.
It's quite good.
um, Things that can be improved in this CV is, for example, under computer skills. Well, he didn't tell us what level he had.
Mm.
So if he writes it this way, we understand that he's a computer literate, like is mastering those skills.
Mm.
You know, maybe that's right. Maybe that's correct. We don't know. We guess.
Mm.
Then he didn't write a summary, but again, it's not mandatory. A profile section, you know, it's not
Yeah.
mandatory. And are those relevant categories, community service and leadership roles? Yes, it depends on the job description.
Yeah.
When you write related experience, it makes me wonder if he omitted some experiences. Because usually when you write related experience, we expect another category that we will call additional experience, additional work experience. So that's just my 2 comments, maybe a way of improvement for this CV. But it's a very good one, very well presented, and you see it's 1 page, but it's really efficient.
I think my concern here is that if you have to present a CV that is not more than, say, 2 pages, and you actually have a lot of experience, or it might be experience that's volunteering or internship, that you may think that is not to be categorized as work experience. So you might categorize it as relevant experience or related experience, and then you might narrow it down to pick only the ones that are related to the job description. So I'm wondering that's what his strategy was here, because it might have had a lot of experience that just were not relevant to the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But he got the job with that. I remember where he applied, and it worked.
Okay.
So that was really powerful.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Shall we move to the next sample?
Sure. Okay, so this one it looks really like a Swiss CV or French CVs, actually. I'm French, so this way I'm telling you this. The positive side of this CV is the summary. But you actually have an option. Either you write a summary or your key skills. Okay, you have this option as well that I didn't talk about earlier. But ideally, you do not put both, because this can be redundant usually. So it's either one.
Okay.
The good thing is that it's adapted to 1 page, but again, he doesn't have a lot of experience, so that's easy to make. The other positive things is thing is that it's a consistent format. It's really easy to read the way he presented it.
Yes.
Now the photo is, well, it's a beautiful photo, but you need to make sure that when you do choose a photo of you, it needs to be professional.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a personal photo. It needs to represent you. Well, we need to picture you at work with that photo, and not in your daily activities, extra outside of work.
Yeah.
This format is not recommended in Switzerland, by the way, in terms of the colors. Or the Geneva International. It's not the best, well, it's not the preferred format, I would say. And yeah, I think I'm done with my
So,
comments.
would you suggest just making sure that everything is in black, as in, because these things will be printed, right? The CV cover letter
Yes.
will be printed, so that then matters, right? The color.
Yeah, it's always something that we need to be aware of, is that if the recruiter is printing our CVs, to make sure that if the recruiter is the recruiters are printing it in black and white,
Mhm.
that it needs to look yeah, it needs to look good in black and white.
Yeah.
Because sometimes some people pay a lot of attention to, you know, colorful CVs, but then when you print it out in black and white, well, it's not that fancy anymore.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we need to be careful with that. Yes.
All right. Okay. So I believe you also had another CV for
Mm-hmm.
us.
Yes. Yeah, so this one. So yeah, indeed, it's not, I'm sorry, it's not really legible. The image is not really clear. I apologize. What I wanted to show with that CV, I don't know what you think, Madhumita, but it's not really attractive. I mean, uh, I don't see, you know, properly even if the image was clear, I don't see properly what I'm looking for. It's all the same, written in the same style besides the categories.
Yeah.
I think it's a bad choice of font and colors.
Yeah.
The summary is vague. He wrote, "I'm a hardworking individual who enjoys working. I'm excellent at meeting deadlines. I have 2 years of experience in business, and I would like to contribute to a business with my excellent skills and past work experience." And he repeats the same words.
Yeah.
So see, I mean, this summary for me is too vague. I mean, I don't believe he tailored it to the job description.
Yeah.
And the other comments that we can make to improve it is that it's not in I mean, it is in a chronological order and not reverse chronological order. I think you can improve it also by giving more explanation, more details on what he did actually did
Yeah.
um, at those work experiences. Yeah, it really doesn't seem like it's a tailored CV.
Right.
Mm. So you should avoid of doing that. Doing that.
In short, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so let's take a look at the next CV.
Yes. So this one is to anyone who's wondering what a Swiss CV looks like. And this one could be an example. Of course, there are many examples, but I don't see the point in showing you all possibilities. But I want what will make this one a Swiss CV. I don't know if you can see on the under details. It gives a lot of personal information that is now forbidden in many countries, which is date of birth, nationality, marital status, and children. In many countries of the world, we do not provide this information anymore. Like in France, we used to ask for that kind of information. We don't anymore. Again, because it can be used against us.
Yeah.
So also there's a picture, and it's colorful. So yeah, that's the main comments I wanted to say, because we have many people who say, "Oh, but I don't know how a Swiss CV look like." Well, it looks like this. It could look like this.
Yeah, okay. I think that is all for now. Would you like to add any other piece of advice or before we conclude?
I really want to stress that the best applications are the ones that are tailored.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. those are, you will make less applications because it asks, yeah, you need more time to do them, but it's much more efficient. You will get much more interviews if you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best advice I can give you.
I think that's a good takeaway for us. If there's one thing that we should really pay attention to from this video, it's that you should always tailor your application to the job description.
Exactly.
Both the CV and the cover letter.
Exactly, both of them. That will facilitate the recruiter's life, job at least. And it's an easy way for them to see that you're the best match.
Right.
Because they don't have to look for the information. You're bringing them that information. You're bringing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Aline, for taking the time to give us this valuable piece of advice.
Hopefully. You're so welcome. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And thank you all for watching.